We already have this bot service that we have created over on Azure, and that is already connected to the Q&A service that we also set up earlier. That means that our bot is ready to start answering the questions from our users. And of course, the purpose being this Xamarin course is for us to implement that bot inside of a Xamarin application. So I am going to be creating yet another project here on Visual Studio for Mac that will be making those requests to the bot to present eventually the results to the user. I have simply named my project bot, and right from the beginning I am going to make a couple of changes so this has a better structure. For example, I am going to delete the main page or get it inside of a new view folder, which means that I will have to go ahead and change in the app.xaml.cs that this new main page is actually going to be a new views.main page because we're going to be on a different namespace. I am also in this lecture going to show you the most straight way in which you can get a bot working inside of your application. And that is to simply define, and let me actually before anything rebuild my project so I see the preview of the result. We're really not going to be adding anything in here, but just let me build this project. And all we're going to be defining literally is a web view. Because precisely through a web view is that we can embed the bot that we have taken a look at. It's pretty much ready inside of Azure. In fact, that same interface that we saw on Azure where we tested our bot is the interface that we can embed pretty much anywhere. So let me show you back in the Azure portal inside of our bot what I mean. Here in the Azure portal inside of the bot, you can navigate over to channels where we have taken a look at some of the channels that we can connect our bot to: Slack, Twilio, Kik, Messenger, Cortana, Skype. But we already have one connected, which is a web chat, which is the one that we use to test our bot. Right here we have the test in web chat option, and we have this interface right here. An interface where we can start to send text, even images and audio to our bot. Now, right now, our bot really only understands text, but you can, of course, build bots that understand images and sound. In fact, if you have taken another of my courses on cognitive services with Azure, you know that we can implement other machine learning services precisely so our bot can understand images or audio and give a result back. But the important thing right now is the channel. We already have this web chat available. And in fact, this web chat is embeddable not only, of course, on our application, but in any website that we want, because it turns out that we can simply get an embed code, an HTML code, to embed this anywhere. You see right here below the list of channels, a Get Bot Embed Codes option, and all we have to do is click here to open the web chat configuration. And immediately you're going to see this iframe, an embed code, an HTML that you can embed anywhere. Now, we are not going to be embedding an HTML inside of our Xamarin Forms project, but what we can do is copy the source of this iframe. Just copy it, and we're going to be pasting it as the source of our web view. So, over here to our web view, all we have to do is set the source to that value that we have just pasted. Notice that it is going to be always webchat.botframework.com/embed/the name of your bot. And then you have to pass a parameter just so you authenticate yourself, or so this bot actually works because it's going to be authenticated. And that is a secret. It's just an S parameter that is going to require your secret. Let's go ahead and get our secret. So here in the same page where we copied this code or this URL, we have our secret keys. All we have to do is show the secret key and copy it. Of course, again, these secret keys are very private. Do not share them with the world. Do not record a course and then not regenerate them. So of course, if I keep this bot running I would want to regenerate them because now my keys are exposed, but just copy one of these secret keys. And back in Visual Studio, you are going to replace this placeholder with your secret key. And this is literally pretty much everything that you need to do. Let's go ahead and test this out right away on Android. I am going to be running this, and right away what we're going to see is that the main page is going to be open. We're going to see the web view right away. And the web view is pretty much going to do the exact same thing that we tested over on the Azure portal. Show the exact same web chat. And overall, the web chat is already going to be connected to the bot and the bot over to the Q&A service, so we should be able to ask the same questions and get the same answers. As soon as we see the application up and running, then we see this exact same web chat. Of course, it's going to adapt to the available space, but we can type some of the questions that we did before. For example, 32-bit versus 64-bit Windows version. Send the question. We're going to see the exact same interface and we are going to get the exact same result. And this looks very well. I mean, the interface, to me, it looks fine. I mean, we see the colors that come from the bot. We don't really have any say in how this is going to look, but it doesn't look bad for me. Now, I do want to mention that since we are going to have this ability to receive an image, in iOS, it's going to be quite important that you set the corresponding settings over on the property list in the info.plist file. So it's not going to be entirely necessary if you don't want to eventually use the web view, because really we are not going to be using images, but if you were to use a web view, there is that button that is going to open up an image picker. In the case of iOS, it's going to open up the gallery. And if we haven't set over on the info.plist in the source one of the configurations that iOS requires, which is the message that is going to be shown to the user describing why you need access to the photos, then your application, if you were to send it to the store, your application wouldn't be accepted by the store because you absolutely need the permission from the user. So you would have to come here and add a new property that is going to be in the privacy section, which is the photo library usage description. So in here, you would have to describe to the user why do you want access to their photo library. So something like bot needs access to your photos. You can send photos to the bot service and get answers based on them. With this, if we were to run this application on an iPhone simulator, of course, at the beginning, we see the exact same result. We see the same user interface that we saw earlier. We can make, of course, the same questions. Let's go ahead and send this. We see the exact same interface adapted to this screen. Let's say that we select photo library and we go ahead and select one of these images. Click on done. In that moment, if these were running, actually, I think if these were running on release mode, they will do. But if these were running from the store or already in a device with a version that is going to be published in the store, in this moment, before the application receives the image, it would request authorization to the user showing precisely this message. So just something to keep in mind if you plan to publish your application to the App Store with the web view, which has that image button, even if your bot isn't really going to respond to images. But what we're here to do is to keep implementing the bot. So right now we have implemented it through a web view. We really don't have any say regarding how it looks. It looks okay, but it may not match our application's design, the brand that we're trying to communicate, the colors, maybe the style of the conversation is not what we're looking for. Of course, this is not the only way in which we can include the bot inside of our Xamarin Forms application. So in the next few lectures, we're going to learn how we're going to be able to connect to the bot through simple REST requests. And so in there, we're going to have all the say in the world as to how our application is going to look. So starting in the next lecture, we're going to take a look at how we can make REST requests to our bot so we can send a question and get back the answer.